Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely crucial for anyone working in tech right now, the structural framework required to make artificial intelligence transparent, accountable, and totally governable. If you're working with AI, you already know we are operating in a wild, rapidly evolving frontier. For a long time, governance in this space has been pretty reactive. But with the introduction of ISO/IEC 4201-2023, a formalized international standard has finally arrived. So we're going to break down exactly how you can use this framework, specifically focusing on Clause 6 to establish a rigorous, absolutely audit-proof AI management system. Let's get into it.
So I want to start by asking you a really fundamental question. Is your AI strategy genuinely audit-ready? Deploying incredibly powerful AI without a structured governance plan isn't just a minor technical oversight anymore. It is a massive organizational liability. We are officially moving out of the era of self-regulation. With frameworks like the EU AI Act coming into enforcement and agencies like the FTC issuing much stricter guidelines on algorithmic accountability, the legal and financial stakes have literally never been higher. Unchecked algorithms can lead to serious security vulnerabilities, wild variances in model output, and some severe compliance penalties. So think about it. If a lead auditor walked right into your office today and asked to see the operational guardrails for your machine learning models, could you definitively prove that your systems are under control?
Well, ISO/IEC 2001-2023 was designed to answer that exact challenge. Now, for those of you familiar with traditional IT governance standards like ISO 27001 for information security, it might be tempting to think, hey, we can just port those exact same practices over to AI. But actually, no. AI requires its own completely unique standard. You see, traditional software is deterministic. You write the code and it executes exactly as written. AI, on the other hand, is non-deterministic. It relies on continuous learning models, probabilistic outputs, and datasets that can actually drift over time. ISO 42001 specifically addresses this dynamic nature, giving you the precise requirements to ensure that your AI is developed and deployed in a way that stays compliant, transparent, and structurally sound through its entire lifecycle.
To get there, we'll be following a really clear roadmap today. 1. Taming AI risk. 2. Setting smart AI objectives. 3. Aligning with business goals. And 4. Documenting for the audit.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Taming AI Risk. This is really the foundation of Clause 6.
Because AI operates on algorithms that are constantly evolving through ongoing learning processes, and often doing so without full transparency, you literally cannot just guess at what might go wrong. Clause 6 of the standard lays out the exact groundwork you need before any objectives can even be set. It mandates a thorough, documented risk assessment. You have to systematically identify potential threats that are completely unique to AI architecture. We're talking about mapping out the probability of adversarial attacks, data poisoning during model training, or even performance degradation because of data drift. Once you've isolated those specific vulnerabilities, the standard requires you to establish measurable objectives to address them and then create a really concrete risk treatment plan. For every single identified threat, you have to formally decide and document your organizational stance. Are you mitigating, transferring, avoiding, or just accepting these risks based on your operational context?
Okay, moving on to Section 2, Setting Smart AI Objectives. This is truly the auditor's best friend.
Taking all those insights from your rigorous risk assessment and translating them into actual actionable policy is where a lot of organizations tend to stumble. Let's look at a vague objective like reduce AI bias. Now sure, that sounds like a great responsible corporate goal, but from an auditing and engineering perspective, it's entirely unusable. An auditor is going to immediately ask, okay, what is the mathematical threshold for this? Which specific data sets are you evaluating? And how do you definitively prove that a reduction actually occurred? Contrast that kind of vagueness with a highly specific SMART objective. Reduce the number of high-risk vulnerabilities by 25% within the next 6 months. See the difference? It's quantified. It has a strict deadline. It relies on hard, objective operational data. An auditor looks for these precise parameters because they represent a target that can be scientifically verified rather than just subjectively debated.
So let's quickly walk through this SMART framework, because applying it to non-deterministic black box AI models introduces some really unique technical complexities that go way beyond your standard project management. When we talk about making an AI goal measurable, we are really talking about establishing acceptable technical thresholds. Like, how do you measure acceptable model drift before a system actually requires retraining? You have to define specific statistical boundaries. And when you're considering if an AI goal is achievable, you aren't just looking at your human team. You're evaluating computational constraints. Do you actually have the processing power, the specific hardware infrastructure, and the high-quality sanitized data required to hit that target? If your objectives fail to account for the heavy infrastructural and data realities of machine learning, well, they're going to collapse long before an auditor ever even looks at them.
Let's pivot to Section 3, aligning with business goals. This is a crucial integration step. AI infrastructure does not exist in an operational vacuum. If your data science team is optimizing for one specific outcome, while the executive board is over there strategizing for another, your entire governance framework breaks down. Let's consider the strategy of a global financial institution. If their top-level corporate goal is maintaining market leadership and institutional trust, the AI engineering team supports that mandate directly by setting the objective to achieve ISO/IEC 42001 certification. And they use 100% GDPR compliance as their measurable KPI. But let's say the business priority shifts to improving overarching incident management. Then, the AI objective pivots to reducing network vulnerabilities, which they track with a KPI of a 95% automated threat response time in under 30 minutes. Every single technical AI objective has to act as a direct, load-bearing pillar for a broader organizational goal.
And here is a massive takeaway from that financial institution example. They set a strict 18-month timeline to achieve full ISO/IEC 42001 certification. That completely alters organizational behavior. A specific time frame like that serves as a massive catalyst. Putting time-bound constraints on complex technical projects absolutely forces cross-departmental collaboration that probably wouldn't happen otherwise. By putting an 18-month countdown on the clock, AI engineers are basically forced to communicate explicitly with the executive board to secure the budget they need for advanced encryption tools and to get authorization to hire specialized compliance personnel. It takes an abstract technical desire and transforms it into a scheduled, resourced organizational imperative.
Which brings us to our final step, Section 4, documenting for the audit, the all-important paper trail.
So, with your risks mapped, your measurable objectives defined, and your business goals perfectly aligned, the final structural requirement is proof. As the source material highlights, documentation serves as both a reflection and an instrument of compliance. In AI systems, documented analysis becomes even more critical. This addresses a really fundamental reality of artificial intelligence, because deep learning models often operate as a black box where the exact internal decision-making pathway just isn't readily visible to us human operators. The documentation itself essentially becomes your primary governance. Documented analysis is exactly how you legally and operationally defend your system's architecture when regulators or external auditors start scrutinizing your model's outputs.
So let's look at the operational reality of an audit. When an auditor begins tracing a specific decision your AI made, they are not just going to ask for a nice verbal explanation from your engineering team. No way. They will immediately request the detailed audit trails. If an anomaly or a security breach happened, they'll expect to see the incident logs so they can understand exactly how the system behaved, followed immediately by the documented corrective actions you took to prevent it from happening again. They will cross-reference your performance dashboards right against your strategic goal-setting documents to ensure the model is functioning within those agreed-upon parameters. Every worksheet, every matrix, and every single log is a necessary piece of forensic evidence that proves your AI management system is actively doing its job.
And keep in mind, ISO 42001 operates as a living, continuous cycle of improvement. This is absolutely vital because the real-world data feeding your AI is constantly changing. You have to constantly monitor your performance indicators to catch any early signs of model degradation. You need to conduct regular internal audits to basically stress test your own safeguards before an external regulator does it for you. The findings from those internal audits must be reviewed directly with senior management so you stay aligned with shifting business strategies. And finally, you adjust. You adjust your technical objectives, your retraining schedules, and your timelines as the technological landscape shifts. Your governance has to evolve at the exact same pace as the models themselves.
So, this leaves us with a critical operational baseline to think about. When the time comes for an external review, when that auditor finally walks in, will your AI infrastructure remain an unexplainable high-risk black box, or will it stand as a rigorously documented, strategically aligned system? The methodologies required to build that transparent infrastructure are codified right here in ISO/ISO 42001-2023. Implementing them effectively isn't just about compliance, it is the next absolutely necessary step in modern technical leadership. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.